this heaven?
No. It's Iowa.
Ben, what happened? I thought we had a guest this week. What's going on?
Oh, I shot him. He's right over there. I shot him in his face.
I said don't shoot him.
Oh, I got confused. I thought you didn't want me to take any pictures of him. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you didn't mean with the gun you didn't want me to shoot him. I didn't have time to mess with him. How could I do a podcast with you if I'm busy tying that guy up?
I shouldn't have left him with you.
Yeah, it is your fault, man. You know what I do. That's your bad.
All right, we're talking Devil in a Blue Dress on the Pot of Dreams.
Woohoo!
For Ezekiel Rollins, L.A. was a world of sunshine and shadows.
Hey, Easy, how you doing, baby? Junior, take Easy on upstairs.
Black and white.
We got no work here. Sorry, fella. My name's not fella. My name is Ezekiel Rollins.
So here you need a job. What kind of work you do? I'm just looking for somebody.
Daphne Monet.
Fiancée of Todd Carter. She's been gone 2 weeks. See, Daphne has a predilection for the company of Negroes.
He thought he knew how to play the game.
Any of y'all seen a white girl by the name of Dahlia, Delia, something like that?
Her name is Daphne. You can't get none of that tonight.
You know her?
Until he stepped into a world.
Why don't you tell me about your friend Daphne?
Colored woman ain't good enough for you no more, Hines.
Where there are no rules.
Why are you arresting me?
Now, what time did you leave Greta James' house this morning?
What is going on?
She's not going to be waking up, Ezekiel.
He's looking for a woman no one wants found.
Was there anyone with you? A young lady named Daphne Monet, perhaps?
The incumbent mayor, the chief of police, close personal friends of mine.
Then they can help us find her.
No, they can't.
And getting in deeper than he ever expected.
This is Daphne Monet. You're looking for me. I don't know if I should think of you as a friend or as a private dick.
Surrounded by lies.
You can trust me, Mr. Rollins. I am the next mayor, and luckily for you, a friend of the Negro.
Seduced by power.
Unless I give the cops a killer by tomorrow morning, I'm going to jail.
Easy Rollins is searching.
Not very smart talking about Mr. Carter's business.
There's too much going on for me to give a damn about what you think is smart.
For the truth.
Who killed her?
I don't know.
Don't lie to me! Start up my car, keep it hot, I'm coming out fast. Let's go! Get her. No, don't shoot her. We going to the police. Yeah, why don't you scream, huh?
From the Academy Award-winning producers of Philadelphia and The Silence of the Lambs, Academy Award winner Denzel Washington, Devil in a Blue Dress, a Carl Franklin film.
Welcome, everybody, to the Pot of Dreams, your favorite movie podcast. If you listen, we will pod. This is Ben and Eric talking a 90s noir, neo-noir. Is it? I have
think
questions
you call it a
about what's
neo-noir. I just
we need to get into that.
Yeah, there was a run of these
there.
movies in the 90s for a while. Like, we're going to recreate the noirs of the 40s and 50s. And
I'll just say full stop. I love every one of those movies. It's like a genre made for me. But anyways.
Correct. I figure. Yes, indeed.
We're talking Devil in Blue. I picked this movie. I had never seen it before. It's one that just sort of slipped by me. I don't know how or why. I guess we were in the younger age. This movie came out in 95, so I was 13, maybe wasn't heading out to as many rated R movies as I could. And it wasn't like a gigantic hit or anything. It's actually kind of interesting if you compare this to LA Confidential. A little bit of racism, maybe, why this wasn't a big hit and LA Confidential was. Maybe,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, what was it? Braveheart was the movie that won the Best Picture that year. I'm trying to think of what else came out in 95. Sure, that'd be fine. I mean, yeah, this is. I kept thinking of LA Confidential quite a lot when watching this movie. I
mean, it didn't even make its budget in box office. It cost $27 million and made $22 million. So
yeah, I don't have. I mean, I wasn't plugged into the movie scene really in '95, but I have no memory of this being mentioned or at all as a
whereas
big time
LA
movie.
Confidential comes out in '97. It had a budget of $35 million and made $126 million.
Yeah, it wasn't. LA Confidential was all over the place. I mean,
2 years later, it was a gigantic hit. Very similar setting. I think 50s for LA Confidential. This is in the late 40s.
Yeah, 48. Yep. Very.
Only real difference is the color of the skin of the main actors in the movie. I think is maybe a big difference. I mean, the plot's obviously different, but I don't know. Maybe a little bit of Hollywood racism there as to why one movie was a big hit.
So you think those movies are? You think this is every bit as good as LA Confidential? Like it's as worthy.
I was going to get in a hot take that I think this is maybe even better than LA Confidential.
Okay, interesting. Okay,
but that gives away sort of how I felt about this movie.
Well, I could tell. Again, there's always a giveaway. I said let's get into this movie before we started recording. There was no grimace. There's no twinge of pain on your face. There was a little giddy up to your step.
But you had a little story. So this is actually what I'm most interested in talking about tonight. Is I had never seen it before when I introduced this movie last week. You said it was your first rated R experience, but you didn't have a whole lot of memories of it. Did this jar anything loose watching this?
Only two. First of all, I'd totally forgotten the 40s setting. I don't know. I thought I remembered it being modern times. Clearly, my memory is faulty. Only two things came back to me, and one was the scene where he's hitting the marble with the hammer. That I was like, oh yeah, that's visceral. I was like, oh, it makes sense that's what I remember, because that was him yelling and Denzel Washington is smashing this countertop with a hammer. It's like, oh wow. And the other one was strangely, after he's driving, I'm trying to think if he's driving to the cabin, or I remember where he gets kind of attacked and he survives, but he's driving and he kind of like nods off for a second, and I remember being confused, like, wait, is he falling asleep? What's going on? It's like a half second. I remember that sticking with me when I was younger. But otherwise, I almost completely blocked it out. And it's weird because I had to watch it with my mom. I don't know why she picked this movie. I'm going to have to ask her why.
Did she rent it? Or like?
Yeah, we rented it. We watched it at home. It was a VHS. Because there's a lot of stuff that I clearly didn't get at the time. I don't know how she explained it, or if it just didn't sync, or I blocked it out because it was too awkward. All possibilities.
Like the sex scene? Did she explain what was happening
yes,
there?
Hitting the spot. No, I didn't get any details about that's my spot. That's my spot.
You didn't ask, hey, Mom, what does she mean by it?
Or the kitty, like the mayor candidate with the, child porn and the raping of children. Memory of that.
I was like, whoa, that really jumped out. I did not expect that as a plot twist in the movie.
And I probably just didn't understand. My mom was probably spending most of the time trying to explain the plot, and I probably just didn't get it. Because there's a lot that happens, and it goes by for class. The plot isn't that complicated, really, but at 11, I didn't really get everything that was going on.
It's a little confusing. I actually wanted to kind of go through it because I don't know if I'm 100% clear on exactly what happened.
I have a couple of
and all these
points.
LA Confidentials like that too. Every time I love it, and I finish it, I'm like, wait, what happened? Like who did what? Like all of these noir movies, that's always my reaction to it. But
sure, they're kind of notorious for having complicated, weird plots. That's part of the fun. There's one called The Big Sleep, which literally doesn't make sense and has gaping plot hole, but people love it just because the vibes and the setting, the feeling is really fun.
Like Chinatown is kind of one of those, like, wait, so she's her sister and her cousin or something? Like
father. It's my father. That's my husband. Right. My father, my husband, whatever. Yeah. Yes, as she's getting slapped by Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
But then also how that has anything to do with the whole water thing is also...
It doesn't. It's just more of the LA is just fucked up and incestuous and gross, basically. Underneath all the glitz and glamour is a bunch of seedy nastiness.
According to this movie, super racist. So,
well, that's no shock.
That's my favorite part about this movie was the end, where it's like this, and I think it didn't get enough credit for it at the time, but the whole idea of this like working class black neighborhood in Los Angeles and how like the policing and the city policies kind of like wipe that out, like he alludes to it a little bit. He's reading the paper, I think, at the end, and he's talking about new police policies or something like that. And then the mayoral race is like obviously a big backdrop to this story. But like I find that like super interesting. You take this noir story about crime and about, I guess, finding a lost woman is really what it's about. But then, like I said, you mix in the child porn, the sort of blackmailing and all that. But at the backdrop, there's this like idea of just black families trying to work and live in a suburban LA neighborhood, and that sort of all changing in the 40s and 50s into segregation and all that. So I don't know. Yeah. I found that really interesting.
I agree. So the plot is mostly boilerplate to me. Really, like it's fine. I don't hate it or have problems with it, but it doesn't excite me. I'm not like super invested. It's more the setting, the time, the place, and yes, the way they build in just the subtle racial differences. This is California, so there's no formal segregation, right? It's not a legal policy. It's not like black people can't live here according to the code, but there's a color line. There's clearly different rules for people if they're black versus if they're white. And it culminates, of course, with the guy ultimately.
They can't have a nightclub, right? Like that's, the nightclub's got to be hidden upstairs.
Right, and they have to steal the booze. They're basically still bootlegging, even though booze is legal. They all have to live in a certain neighborhood. They have to live separately. It's still like the racism runs rampant, even though, hey, we're progressive California, but they're not really that progressive. The zoning policies are incredibly racist. Other people have written about,
that's, I think, what he's reading in the newspaper is like zoning laws or something like that for black families. They're changing or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. But no, that's part of what works is you get all these great locales and culture that, I don't think probably was seen on film very much, certainly in the 90s, and probably still isn't that much now. But it was like, they have hopping clubs despite the fact they're not supposed to have them. They had swinging clubs. They were having fun. They were living life. They were making a living. And it's just palpable. I don't know, at the time, the place. And it dives into the tropes in a fun way. You've got Tom Sizemore and his ridiculous trench coat thing.
Tom Sizemore is unbelievable in this movie.
Oh, he's a first-rate scuzzbag. It's pretty great.
What does he say? The one guy, I want to see the inside of your brains or something like that? Like, what the fuck? Insane. He just comes in completely on cocaine and amazing stuff. All-time Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, not the very first scene we meet him, but when he's at the dock and he's like, I didn't even know what to make, and I still don't know what to make of that scene. He's just crazy, really. But he's got the gun on the guy from Des Moines, Iowa, or at least the woman is from Des Moines. Nice
the woman is from Des Moines. I wanted to bring that up. Yeah, she was
of course.
Des Moines, yeah.
And he puts the gun on the guy and is suck his dick and is just full on insane. And Denzel Washington is, of course,
he's gonna do it. He's really gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah, just one of those lunatics who just likes messing with people deeply.
I also loved when he goes into Easy Rawlings' house and he takes out his whiskey and drinks it and then he spits. He's like, God, that's some cheap shit. And he leaves. Such a dick-ass thing to do.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it is. No, he's a great scuzzbag. This is the setting, the place, the ambiance, and also the performances are why this movie really works. And the plot goes along. And it's fine, but it's those reasons why I loved watching this movie. Not so much what happens, but watching it happen is the fun part.
Yeah, I think Ebert, who gave it a positive review, said, I like the movie without being caught up in it. I like the period, the tone, and look more than the story, which I never really cared too much about. So
it's
boilerplate.
Exactly what
you said. Yeah.
It's boilerplate noir. So which is fine. That's not a problem. I don't care. I don't need
I could watch a movie like this, once a week, and would be totally happy.
I know you could. I was watching this. I was like, I'm glad Eric picked a movie he needed a get right movie. After the stuff you've been forced to trudge through, needed to perk you up and watch a movie that's just right in the other, and that's good.
Yeah,
we got that. Let's dive into the plot a little bit. To me, it's pretty simple, I guess. Ultimately, it seems complicated in the way it's presented, but the gist is. You got this.
So Denzel loses his job and he needs money.
Yes,
and the bartender
because he needs money. Yeah. He's desperate. And he goes along, and then he's at some point, I don't know, halfway through the movie, he's like, "All right, I'm done just trying to get by. I'm going to figure out what's going on. I'm going to figure out exactly who's doing what and why I'm being used." And so he ends up unraveling this plot, which involves a mayoral race in which one of the mayors is a pedophile. The other mayor candidate has a woman that he loves who's technically black. And that's his big bugaboo. They found pictures. It's like they're both trying to blackmail each other. One for having a wife we're going to have a wife who's not white, in quotes, and the other one is going to be a pedophile. And so they're trying to get those pictures. Mostly everybody's trying to get the pictures for various reasons.
Well, the woman, Jennifer Beals, has the pictures, right? I don't know how. Do we learn?
She doesn't have them anymore, so
or she knows where they were or knows where they are.
She knows that Daphne, the woman who's killed early on, that's my spot.
Right. No, Daphne is Jennifer Beals.
Okay, got it. Okay, Yeah, she knew where it was.
Cordella's the one that she's the one that gets killed. Cordella.
Okay, so Daphne. Oh gosh, I'm gonna mix up the names. But that's my spot. The guy. The one thing that the movie needed to make
Coretta. That's Coretta.
Coretta. There we go. Coretta. So Coretta was the one who knew where it was. Coretta was supposed to.
She knew where Daphne was.
Daphne was, and she also knew where the letter was, and the letter was what really mattered. Daphne wanted it because she figured if she could blackmail the other guy, then she could get married to the guy who's running for mayor.
Didn't she mail it though? Didn't
Coretta was supposed to do the delivery? Coretta was doing deliveries. That's how she got involved, and she saw what was going on, and she was trying to get a slice of the action. Coretta was, and then ended up getting killed. And here's one of the 2 points that I'm not sure on. Who killed Coretta? Was it?
I assume Tom Sizemore.
Okay.
No.
No. I think so. But then at some point it's ambiguous if the guy who runs the bar did it. He was supposed to just rough her up. And he gets accused of killing.
Right, yeah, because he knew where she was. You're right, yeah.
He was supposed to at least rough her up. So his version was that he just beat her up and didn't kill her. And then Tom Sizemore found out and killed her. And I didn't know because it's not super important. But the fact that guy is killed, if he murdered her, you feel a little less bad about him getting killed. But if not, his shooting is a little more of a bummer. But I didn't know. It seemed a little ambiguous to me. I mean, maybe deliberately so. Because he was pleading his innocence as he was driving to the cabin. He's like, I don't know who told you that. I didn't kill her. It wasn't me.
Right, because what you're saying, later Don Cheadle kills him because he was laughing.
That's the thing we did in the bit at the beginning.
Don Cheadle he's a psychopath in this movie too. Like
correct.
He's off his fucking rocker.
Absolutely.
My one complaint about this movie is there's not enough Don Cheadle. And I don't know if I missed it, but like he just sort of appears out of thin air in this movie. He just shows up at his house.
He calls and leaves a message. So he lives in Houston, I think, or Houston, I think, one of the big cities in Texas. And apparently he and Don Cheadle, so Denzel Washington and Don Cheadle was there, Denzel Washington was there when Don Cheadle killed the guy. Easy was there.
Right. He has a flashback to it or whatever.
Right.
Here's my thought is that it was one of the books, because this is based off of a book series, that there's like a whole book on Cheadle's character, and it's just like a slight reference to like their first adventure together. But in the movie, it's like he calls this dude, and then Cheadle shows up just out of nowhere, and is just in the movie.
He calls and leaves a message for his girl, and then he arrives. But
he just like literally just appears into the movie like halfway through it. I mean, or maybe more than halfway through the movie.
Yeah. He's introduced very late. I mean, we get a reference to him, but yeah, we don't meet until it's towards the end of the second act. It's late. I mean, his performance is great. As written, I think I got enough of that character. I mean, he's a lunatic. I got that he's a lunatic. I didn't need him to kill more people.
It's like Doc Holliday. He comes in as Doc Holliday kind of in the movie. That was
sort of. I know we're hitting Tombstone land for you, and you love that movie. I don't know. Isn't Doc Holliday a little smart? He's crazy, but isn't he a little more smart? Doesn't he pick his battles a little better?
But he's also a drunk and a degenerate.
Well, sure, and so is Don Cheadle in this movie. But yeah, he seems to not be as judicious about what's going on. He doesn't seem quite as plugged in. But he's also crucial. Without Don Cheadle, Easy would have been dead. Denzel Washington character would have died twice, probably, at least. When the bootlegger shows up and when they confront Tom Sizemore at the cabin. I don't think without his buddy he's going to make it through that.
Oh yeah,
encounter.
Yeah.
So he needs his lunatic friend. But yeah, it was just ambiguous to me about who actually killed her. Everybody else is Tom Sizemore, but her is like who killed her? Was it that guy? I think Joplin or Joppy ran the bar. Wasn't really sure. And I asked him, why did Denzel Washington get fired? It feels like.
I think the guy says there's not enough work for him, and then he's like, "Well, you don't say that to the white people, the white dudes out here working." And then I think later doesn't someone say if you had just begged instead of saying that, you would have kept your job?
Okay. I didn't get that. That was the line I missed.
I'm not doing that anymore. It was a little racial, I think.
No, I
prejudice.
figured it was racist. I just didn't know if there was a little more specifics. It was the begged line I didn't really hear. It was like if he had said or done, didn't hear it first when I watched it. What he could have done differently to keep his job. But those are the 2 points. Otherwise, I mean, I think it all makes sense ultimately. And I guess Daphne drives away because she's scared. Why does she drive away from the scene with the guy who's dead? You know, when he's trying to deliver the letter, or Delilah, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Feared her life.
She just takes off, and it makes it seem like she.
You mean in the end of the movie?
No, in the middle. Like he meets her in the bar or in the hotel, and she's like, "Can you drive me to, Todd Carter, the mayor, guy's running for mayor's house?" He's like, "Why don't you drive yourself, or he can come pick you up?" He's like, "Well, I need you to take me somewhere else first, and we need to make a stop along the way." And they pull into somebody's house, and they find the dead guy. Who had the letters at one point. And then she peels away as he's looking at the dead body.
Well, I was confused at that scene. Is like, whose car did she take? Like, I thought at first, like, oh shit, now Denzel's gonna have to walk, but she must have had a car there. That's where her car was.
I was confused by the car.
I was confused by that
he did
too.
have to walk, and they just didn't show it because they just don't want to show him walking. But
no, he then drove to his house because the movie only, I think, takes place over the course of like one full night and then into like the next day, or maybe 2 full days. It's like one night into the next day and then the next night. Because he pulls up to his house after driving home and it's like daylight. And that's when the cops cost him. Like, where were you last night? Were you at this guy's house? And he said, he was with Coretta, and then
we get 3 nights.
Home.
Yes, you're right. It's 3 nights.
And that's when they take him in.
Right. First night where he goes to the club and has sex with Cornelia or whatever, and then next night is he goes and meets the woman and drives back during daylight, and then the next night is when he confronts him at the cabin. But yes.
No, I think it's that morning. He leaves Coretta's house. Doesn't he leave her house because they're all sleeping, and then goes to where Daphne was and meets her
the next night. That's
later that night.
It is because he has the conversation with Tom Sizemore.
It doesn't matter.
Before that, he's like, meet me at this pier, and that's at night, and that's after he's gone to the club and gotten the fake information about where the guy is, and then
I just remember thinking at some point, he's like, man, that's a long night.
Sure, he's got to be.
He does drive home,
he's
and the sun
really
is still
strung
up.
out because he's like hungover and has gotten no sleep over. He probably doesn't look haggard enough, really, given that he's like probably had 2 days straight where he's almost not slept at all, and he keeps getting like hit on the head and like fighting people and almost killed. But yeah, I mean, I think it's 3 nights, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's quick. How often that happens, but no, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's such a from the cars and the music and just the way it looks, it's just always amazing how sometimes Hollywood can at least, and I don't know that it's historically accurate, but it can really create the vibes of a different era.
It feels like it is.
It feels like
it definitely feels right. And I was thinking too, like why don't they make movies like this now? And if they did, it would all be CGI, and it would look like shit. It wouldn't look real at all.
CGI
and that's
sucks.
what frustrates me watching this. The opening sequence where he's just like walking through the street and there's cars coming and everybody's like, hey, Zeke or whatever, or Easy or whatever his name is. Ezekiel, right? So they call him.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, that looks so accurate to the time. Like, super LA noir is what was the vibes I got. And like, man, if they made this now, it would just look like trash.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you ever play the video game LA Noir?
No, I never did. I've heard about it, but no, I never played. Did you? Was it fun?
It's great.
Seems like a game made just for you.
One of my favorite games of all time. It was super glitchy though. That was one of the problems. Is like one of those early, like the technology didn't match the
ambition.
Yeah, and so it was really glitchy. But
like a lot of those Fallout games have that problem. I haven't played any of those either, but they could be really glitchy. And you try to do a really big, expansive game, and it's going to be a lot of bugs that just didn't get worked out. No, I haven't seen it, but no, it's you're right. We live in an age of CGI awfulness, and we're going to enter in an AI world of awfulness soon enough. I mean, God bless the writer's strike trying to fight it, but it's just going to be, you're going to sign off your likeness, and then they'll just be able to make movies with your gross pretend face as an actor.
And it'll
forever.
look stupid.
It'll look bad, and then it'll start to look
be bad, but it'll be cheap, so
correct.
They'll be like,
it'll be very
it's
cheap.
worth it.
It'll take nothing. Correct. Yeah. Yep. That's where we're headed. No, this is definitely a man. They don't make them like they used to kind of movie where you're like, oh man, took a lot of time and planning, and they had to pick the exact right locales, and they had to set everything up and find all the cars, and they had to be very precise with where they shoot, because if they get the wrong shot, the skyline will be screwed up or a building won't look right. They get like a modern McDonald's in there or whatever, like they got to be just really precise. And it looks great.
You know who did that really well? Quentin Tarantino.
And yes. But he got one big detail wrong, but that's okay. He got one thing that wasn't historically accurate. There's one big detail that was just totally like made up and unreal. But I get what you're saying. Yes, a lot of fidelity. It's great. He did a great job. Quentin Tarantino's a great filmmaker. Are you sad that he's only going to make one more movie? As an aside.
I am. I read a quote today from Samuel L. Jackson, who was like something like, I hope he still thinks of me as one of his muses and is willing to write a black character in his movie this time, because I think he was like, what, and you made up this whole thing about the Mansons, you can't have one black character in this movie, and he's kind of got a point. I mean,
correct. He didn't actually care about making things accurate in the end.
I mean, why, if Samuel Jackson is sitting there and is like, dude, I will be in any movie you make, don't you write a role for like Samuel Jackson? Like, just do it. Like, what is wrong with you?
You think, a guy that has been crucial to a good chunk of your movies. I mean, you can't imagine Pulp Fiction without Samuel Jackson. I can't imagine Jackie Brown without it. I can't imagine Hateful Eight, but that's just one of Tarantino's probably worst 2 or 3 movies. But yeah, no, he was definitely a huge part of Quentin Tarantino's coming of age as a filmmaker. But yeah, whatever.
Actually, now that I think of it, Samuel Jackson would have been great in this movie. Find some way to put him in this movie. He would have been amazing.
Sure. There were a lot of great black parts in this movie. That's pretty much all it was, and then just a lot of shitty white characters mostly.
So I mean, we did LA Confidential on this podcast. Do you have a favorite between the two, or is LA Confidential just like far and away better than this? That you think?
See, this is, I like different things from them. So to me, like, if you're really wanting me to parse this, I actually like the writing better in LA Confidential. Like, in terms of the script and the themes, I like it a little bit better. But in terms of acting and ambiance and setting, I like this one better, and just general vibes. I really liked. I mean, the one thing about this movie is I wish they would have steered into Denzel Washington Easy's moral ambiguity a little bit more. He's pretty much unquestionably a hero in terms of like how it's structured the film and the ending, but there are a couple of things where it's like, okay, maybe he's not totally great. First of all, he has sex with his buddy's girlfriend while he's in the other room, and he never tells his buddy about it, and he lets his friend believe that his girlfriend wouldn't cheat on him falsely, obviously.
After she dies, after she's murdered later that night.
Indirectly. Yeah. Well, sort of. She might have gotten snuffed either way, but yeah, it doesn't give it. So there's that's really kind of
he's the reason that they made the connection, right, between Coretta and Daphne is totally because of Denzel.
Yeah, you could be right. It absolutely could be his fault. So there's that, and then the bar owner. I mean, if he didn't kill Coretta, then because he brought his crazy friend on, that guy's dead.
Yeah, well, Cheadle did that. He was clearly like, "What are you doing?"
But he's totally right.
It's like, why'd you shoot him? I told you not to shoot him. Well, I didn't shoot him. I choked him.
Character is. He knows who he is, though. He is morally culpable, at least a little bit, because Dutch just told right. You left him with me. You know who the guy am. I kill people. You know that. This isn't a mystery. Denzel Washington.
Yeah, if you didn't want him dead, you shouldn't have left him with me.
So he's a little bit responsible. I could have let him go or do something, but like, and he's a little bit like, hey, if you've got a friend that's a lunatic, are you responsible? He has a little bit of that questioning, but in the end, it's undoubtedly like, I'm happy. I'm paying my mortgage.
Well, yeah, he was also trying to get paid. I mean, that was part of his whole thing. It's
of course.
I'm going to milk these people. Like when he talks to the guy, the mayor candidate who he dropped out, right? But then
Todd Carter, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, wow, $1,000 or whatever.
Sure, that's fine.
So he was negotiating this, like he was trying to make money.
I don't care about him making money off of rich white dudes. That's fine. That's not morally ambiguous in any context, really. It's he Like,
well, he's supposed to be like a war hero too. Like, I mean, come on now. Like, he's supposed to be a hero. You don't want him to be a hero. You want him to be like a bad guy.
Well, as the script, as the script is written, he's not unquestionably a hero. To me, there is some moral ambiguity there. There's a little contrast. We see him again cheat on his buddy's girlfriend, maybe lead to her death, and cause the death of another character. And what's more, I kept thinking, like, so the mayor candidate ties up all the stuff with the police. The cops leave him alone. That's great. That makes sense. But he went into the bar and held a gun on the bar owner's head in front of everybody, and they all know who he is. They know who Easy is. He was a regular at that bar. He wasn't like just some random person.
Yeah.
He pulls the guy out there, and that guy ends up dead or missing. Are there going to be some people who are like, okay, you held that guy out to a gun. We don't know what happened.
Easy might need to hang out at a different bar, maybe.
Like, people are going to think, you killed that guy. You are a piece of shit. So to me, it's there in the script. I mean, get rid of the cheating and get rid of him getting that guy killed who maybe wasn't deserving of being killed, and it'd be a little easier to say, oh yes, he's just a unquestionably great guy. But what I liked at the end was, like, obviously there weren't any sequels to this, but we set the stage like, okay, he's now going to be a private detective, and like, more movies of this would have been great. I would have loved a sequel to this. You could have done whatever you wanted at that point. Like, you set up his character. You don't have to really continue any other storyline. You can have him do anything.
I mean, they could do it now. They could make it one
That's
now.
True.
Like,
that's true. Set
he's
it
just
in
older
the 70s and
reference the stuff he's done. You could just, all the years of being a private detective and like.
No, he could be retired now, and they're like, who do we got? We got to get Easy. He's the only one who can figure this out.
Be great. Sure. Absolutely be great.
And it made me think of Shaft. Have you ever seen the movie Shaft?
The original, not the Samuel Jackson? No, I have not.
Not the Samuel Jackson remake, the original with Richard Roundtree. It made me think of that, too, because that character is a private detective, and he works with the cops begrudgingly, but he doesn't work with gangs. He's this kind of independent, tough guy who figures shit out and toes the line. And I was like, oh, yeah, this guy could, become Shaft in 20 years. Like, because it's set in 1948. Shaft is 1970. It made me think of that. And we should watch Shaft or some movie of the 70s blaxploitation era stuff, because there's some really great stuff there.
I have gaps there. I watched Trouble Man. You ever heard of that one?
No, I've not.
Watched a bit of that.
But Superfly's great. There are a bunch that I haven't seen. I mean,
the Dolomite movies. I haven't seen any of those.
I haven't seen those. Those are like fun because they're so bad, I think. But
okay.
Some of them are more traditionally like, oh, this is just a solid action movie with a great like early 70s soundtrack. I don't even think of that. No, I mean, I liked that, but I was just thinking like, wait, is he that much of a hero? I'm glad he got paid. Great. He got to the bottom of this. The pedophile isn't going to be mayor. That's good. But he might have got a couple people killed, and he kind of used his buddy in this process for his own selfish gain. His buddy, who was very much not rich. But that's all. I mean, that's not like a major qualm or anything. It's just a little bit.
But Carl Franklin, it seems like he's the director of this movie, done like mostly TV recently.
Oh,
he did a movie called One False Move before this. I've never seen that. It has Bill Paxton in it.
Okay.
Apparently that's written by Billy Bob Thornton, which is funny. He did a movie called Out of Time, which is like an action movie with Denzel Washington. But that's really it. And then he's just done a bunch of TV.
That's weird.
I think
this was
he's
well directed.
Good director.
Why would he only do? I mean, what TV series did he do?
Like, he's done episodes of House of Cards.
Oh, okay.
All sorts. Like, you could probably go through the whole list of weird things he's directed. But let's see here. Mindhunter.
A lot
Ray
of crime
Donovan.
stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
The Leftovers.
Okay.
The Fair, Homeland. Just like he seems like he's just like working, as a hired director. Yeah.
But why wouldn't he get other guys?
A couple episodes here and there of these different shows.
But I guess if the movies don't make money, that's all studios care about it.
Yeah, this was a bomb. I mean, this is like a big bomb.
It doesn't matter if people liked it. I guess that's the biggest problem. You didn't make money. They're gonna look for a reason to say no thanks. Sorry. No more directing gigs for you.
He did a movie called One True Thing After Devil in a Blue Dress, which has like Meryl Streep and Renee Zellweger in it.
Well, that sounds legit. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like a career woman reassesses her parents' lives after she's forced to care for her cancer-stricken mother. Real heartwarming film. It sounds like.
Well, that's a gear shift.
Yeah. So just kind of maybe couldn't get hired. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, I think this movie's really well made.
No, there's no problem with the direction really. Yeah, it looks great. I guess it could have been no, that's not even I mean, it does what the story needs to do. I guess it's not super flashy. It's not like Brian De Palma extravagance or anything, but it's like it's very functional. I don't know. The direction never gets in the way of the story.
Well, how does this compare to like the Humphrey Bogart noir movies? Do you think? I mean, those obviously have a special place in our like cinema history because they were like such a big deal. But I mean, those movies aren't all that. I love them. I just love the vibes. I love a detective and a plot twist here and there. Like I love those kind of movies. But like, why is it that in the 40s those were giant, and then they kind of disappeared? And there's I pulled up a list best neo noirs from the 90s. Like it has Seven as the best one. Is that would you consider that a neo noir?
Vaguely. That's close enough. I mean, that's fine. Let's just include it.
King of New York. I love that movie.
I've never seen it.
Christopher Walken's insane.
No, sure.
Fargo's like a noir.
Sort of. Definitely. Yeah, sort of. Those are more different. I mean, this is like classical noir. Like this is set in LA, set in 48. It hits all the tropes. You even get the voiceover. I knew I shouldn't have taken that job right at the beginning. I knew my instincts were screaming to stop, but I needed money. You even get that right at the front end. And Fargo's a bit different.
Never seen The Grifters. Lost Highway. I've never seen that either.
You would hate Lost Highway. Lost Highway is David Lynch, and it's insane.
We've never done a Lynch movie.
They don't make any sense. I just can't imagine you liking them, and they don't make any sense.
Number 6 is Devil in a Blue Dress, which is what we did. And then at Deep Cover, Basic Instinct, LA Confidential, and Memento. So like, those are great movies. So what is it? Neo just because it's like new? It's like a new version of it. Is that why it's a neo-noir? I think that's just something they do. I think it's a label people. Well, there's probably a whole bunch of just assume it's like, okay, noirs were done for a long time. Like they were really popular in the late 40s, which some say is like people were really cynical in post-war America about things and suspicious and not trustworthy, and then communism, and so everybody's just kind of paranoid, and those seem to land more after the glitz and the glamour of like the 30s. But I think it's just like, hey, we haven't done noirs, and then people bring them back. They come back, and so now we're calling them neo-noirs because they seem to kind of fit. Got the crime, got a protagonist who's flawed. I don't know. Some of those are. Do you really think of Fargo as a noir film? Yeah, I mean it's a crime movie. If any crime movie makes it noir, Yeah,
but that's too broad of a that's too broad of a definition.
I think Big Lebowski is more noirish than.
I thought of Big Lebowski a lot watching
Fargo.
This movie too.
Yeah.
This would be like
it's in LA. He's gets sort of caught in the middle of these sort of
people keep showing up at his house and fucking with him. Although it's like instead of an idiot as the protagonist, you actually have a smart, capable person. Like that's the biggest difference. Lebowski, who doesn't know anything that's going on, versus, But
yeah, there's money. He's trying to find the money, exchange the money. Like there's
power, right? Blackmail and pictures and all these parties involved.
Kidnapping.
And he just wants to sit at his house.
He wants
drinking
his
whiskey.
Rug. Yeah.
He just wants to sit at his house sipping whiskey. That's all he wants. But he's got to get a little more active and know what's going on a little better first. No, I thought about those. I thought about LA Confidential and Big Lebowski more than any other movies when I was watching this. Actually, I was like, this is the non-comic, smart protagonist version of Big Lebowski. Like this guy, his ending, like Big Lebowski, does it end with? Does he go bowling? How's Lebowski end? Is it bowling or is he at his apartment? He's like he just wants to bowl, and Denzel Washington, he just wants to sit with his friend at his house. He just likes pulling up to his house and saying, "This is my house," and knowing it's his.
What was with the guy trying to cut down the trees? That made no sense to me. What the fuck was that? I was so confused by that. Like, is that a thing? Too. People try to cut, like, because he's like, yeah, I'm trying to cut my trees down. Like, why is this dude just cutting people's trees down? I don't understand it.
I have no idea. I mean, he clearly had mental health issues, I think, and everybody just tolerated his weirdness.
What's the point of that? Like,
yeah, there's probably something going on there that we just didn't. I don't know. Yeah, I don't get what his deal was. I don't know what he's trying to do. But yeah, that was true. That didn't make any sense to me. I have no explanation.
But yeah, I love that. Like he owned his own home. He got a mortgage, like all the white folks. Like I love that aspect of his character.
Yeah, that was
just wanted his house.
Yep, that's it.
It also so Denzel at that time, so 95. He's probably what, like 40. Maybe 35. So he's like, I don't think he's young enough for the role in this movie, because like why would that guy be single, owning his own house at his age? Like, it's a little weird. I don't know. It would have made more sense if he was like 25. Oh, I suppose he was in France. He was at the war.
So yeah. Right. So
That's true. That makes sense, people, actually.
He's like didn't want the commitment when he was younger, and he's like, I'm going.
He was
I might die.
Yeah, at Normandy or whatever, and fought in World War II for 10 years, 5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah, well, 10 years he's really got in the war early, but yes.
Sure.
But yeah, I didn't find it that implausible, and I think it's clear they also didn't want to deal with the implications of him having like a wife and kid at home. Like that would have changed the scenes quite a bit.
But he didn't have a girlfriend or anything? Like,
no, but
no attachments?
He got some apparently on the regular. I don't know.
Yeah, because he's at the bar and like everybody knows him and is like, oh,
he's out and about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that the story is like, we don't want to deal with that. I mean, he's got to be, and it's not very noirish to have like a family. That's usually not a noir trope. You usually have a jaded single guy is usually who it is. When you think like
where would you rank Denzel as an actor? Do you think he's an all-time great? He's like a Hall of Fame actor, right?
Sure, yes. What is that? I mean, what should I say? He sucks. I don't know.
It's our first Denzel Washington movie that we've done, I think.
He's clearly excellent. I mean, he makes a lot of this movie work, and a lot of it is him. Again, it's not the writing that made me super interested in what was happening. It was his performance and his charisma that carried it a lot. He when he starts getting mad, and that worked. Like all the scenes work when he's trying to get the guy mad. What is it, Johnny Green or whatever his name is? Is like, I need to talk to Johnny Green. You know who that is. I need to have a word with it. Like, that works. When he's angry and smashing a bar with a hammer, it works. He can make the little bits of emotional nuance that creep in. There's not a ton here, but a spot here and there, a look. He very good.
So his 1990s. Well, I'll skip. So have you seen Ricochet? That movie is fucking bonkers.
I've never seen Ricochet, no.
So from Malcolm X in 92, he does Much Ado About Nothing. I've never seen that. Apparently that's good. Pelican Brief.
Movie?
Yeah. So from 93, Pelican Brief, Philadelphia, Crimson Tide, Virtuosity, Devil in a Blue Dress. Like, that's from 93 to 95. Like, those are some pretty stellar movies. Wins an Oscar in there, right? No, he didn't win for Philadelphia, right?
No, he won for Glory. He win Glory in like 89.
Yeah.
And then he won Training Day, and then Fences. Did I get it right? Did he not win?
I don't think he won for Fences.
Okay.
I think he's only got the one Oscar.
Didn't he win for both Glory and
one best? Supporting and then actor. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think maybe Samuel Jackson could have done this, but there weren't a lot of actors like that in the mid 90s that could carry this kind of role.
No, I mean he was.
Black actors. There weren't a lot of black male actors.
He was the black
that were like
lead
big stars.
for a couple of decades, basically, and he still is. I mean, I've not seen the Equalizer movies, but I'm sure they're eminently watchable. Have you seen any of those? There's at least two of them.
I've seen the first one. The first one's pretty good. Yeah, he just fucks guys up over and over again. Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure it seems like standard action fare, just fine.
Like John Wick, yeah.
Sure, yeah, he's a tough guy, beats up shitty people. I'm sure he's fun to watch in it and makes an otherwise kind of bland movie work. No, he's great. I don't know. I mean, Training Day is incredible. He's got a lot of different kinds of roles too. He sometimes plays characters that aren't great. Fences is one where he plays a guy who's kind of shitty. And he doesn't always do the same.
He does always kind of play himself, though. That's my one complaint about Denzel.
He doesn't transform enough, you don't think?
Yeah, like George Clooney. I like George Clooney a lot, but he's always George Clooney, you know?
I think Denzel Washington's better than George Clooney, but I see what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, he's a better actor than George Clooney, for sure. What's Flight? Is that... Yeah, Flight. He's a different kind of guy, and he's a piece of shit. You know, he's a drunk and whatnot.
He ends up in jail at the end of the movie. Yeah, I mean, see, George Clooney is like one note. Like, to me, he's always one note. And see, Denzel Washington might be playing himself, but he's got this big range of himself, different versions of himself if you want. Like, he can go all over. George Clooney's like, hi, I'm handsome George Clooney.
Michael Clayton, George Clooney's kind of different. That's probably his best performance, but...
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I don't have a whole lot else to say about Devil in a Blue Dress. Highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. Really liked it.
It's not boring at all. It's fun. It's exciting. Looks great. The plot's a little...
Do you have a rating that you'd like to give to this movie?
I guess probably like 4.5. I just can't give it the extra half star because it didn't take me to the absolute moon, I guess. But, I mean, it flew by. I enjoyed every step of the way. And yeah, the fact that the plot was just it's fine. Like, we hit all the beats. Like, we're gonna do a noir, and we're set in the 40s. Star black actor. We're gonna cover the Black LA in 1948. Good stuff. Are you 5 stars, I assume?
Yeah, I think it's 5 stars for me. I'm sort of with you. It's like it's either 4.5 or 5. The more we've talked about it, I'm thinking maybe it's more 4.5. But I also think I was like LA Confidential, 5 star. Absolutely. And I don't know why that is and this isn't.
Yeah, and I don't know if I gave that 5 or 4.5. It was one or the other, but
there's maybe the action is not that great in this movie, although the fight scene with Tom Sizemore in the cabin's kind of cool. The shootout they have is kind of interesting, but there's not a lot of action really.
No, very little action. No, very little.
Yeah.
I liked the fight with the guy that tries to kill him at his house. That was like the best sequence. I mean, it felt like people actually fighting. It wasn't like an action movie. It wasn't a kung fu movie. This was like 2 dudes struggling and scrambling to try to murder the other one.
Yeah.
In a way that felt very real. I mean, and then the shootout at the cabin was fine. It was okay. It didn't stand out to me as great or anything. It's just he shoots through the window. I'm kind of like, what's your technique here? But
yeah, I like the aspect that this is about a place that is rarely in movies, and about people that are rarely in movies in that time period that isn't talked about much, and then sort of changes that would happen later on, with the black cult community in Los Angeles. So, yeah, I don't know. 5 star, I guess, for me.
Sure, that's excellent. Makes sense. Very, very good movie. A lot of ways to make a connection, Eric. How do you get to Field of Dreams from this one?
So I started with, his name is Terry Kinney, and he plays the mayoral candidate who's trying to find Daphne. I can't remember what his name in the movie is, but he has one of those faces, he's been in a bunch of stuff. You've seen him. I know him from the show Billions on Showtime. He's the hedge fund guy's fixer. I don't know. He's in a bunch of episodes. He's also in a movie called The Firm. Lawyer movie. You ever seen The Firm?
With Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Janine Triplehorn is in that. She's like an all-timer for me in the 90s. Boy, she was in a lot of great stuff, and she was really great. Waterworld. Have you ever seen Waterworld?
Oh, I have. A long time ago. Yes, I've seen it.
But she's in a movie, Basic Instinct. You ever see that movie?
No, that's one I need to visit. I've never seen it. I know of the famous beaver shot.
That movie changed me. Holy shit.
Oh, well, it sounds like an awakening movie for you.
It definitely was, yeah.
Okay, congrats.
Wayne Knight is in Basic Instinct. He's actually in the scene where she uncrosses her legs. He's the one kind of leaning over, trying to sneak a peek. Okay. Newman from Seinfeld.
Sure, I know. And
Dotson from Jurassic Park.
Nedry in Jurassic Park. Oh, yes.
Nedry.
I'm going to go get some Dotson. I need some salt. I have a lot of sugar. I need some salt.
We got Dotson here. We got Dotson here. See, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And he's in JFK with Kevin Costner.
You're all extinct. All right. Awesome. I went with a guy named Albert Hall, who has a side role as one of Denzel Washington's friends. I don't even remember what else he does. I think he's just in a bar scene. But Albert Hall plays Odell, and Albert Hall is the manager of the Cubs in Rookie of the Year. Have you ever seen Rookie of the Year, Eric?
I don't. Is that where the kid breaks his arm and then he can throw really fast?
Yes, he becomes a pitcher for the Chicago Cubs.
I don't think I've ever watched it. No.
I have spent many times considering watching it for this podcast. I'm not doing it today. I figured you've had too much of a rough run. But sometime I wonder if it's an early 90s sports movie.
I think I'd hate it.
No, you wouldn't hate it, but you'd be like, this is a kid's movie and this is dumb and childish. So, not for me.
Wasn't there one in that time where a kid, he became the manager of the Twins?
Yeah, that's Little Big League. Yep.
Oh, okay.
His like grandfather is like the owner or something, and his grandfather dies, and he gets to manage the Twins. Yep, we could do that one sometime too. I remember liking that. Yeah,
what's
Jack
with
Lemmon.
kids being in professional baseball? Is they just thought that worked, or
that was a phase in the early 90s? I don't know, and early mid 90s, where like kids like sports, they like to imagine themselves as pro athletes. Let's just lean into that like fantasy for kids and make money. I don't know, but a lot of people in Rookie of the Year. I'm going with Daniel Stern, who you'll know him as Marv in the
Bandits.
The Home Alone movies. He's one of those comedic actors that he's a big reason why I think Rookie of the Year is actually funny. At least I used to. It's been a long time since I've seen it. He plays like a trainer or something like that. And he has this crazy his physical regime. Some people like ice. Some people like heat for their muscles afterwards. His technique is hot ice. That it's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway,
not icy hot.
No, it is icy hot. I think somebody at some point points that out to him, and then he's like flabbergasted that icy hot's a real thing. So he's just kind of an idiot in that movie. But he's the lead in a movie called Bushwhacked. Have you ever seen Bushwhacked?
Mm-mm.
He's like a criminal in that movie, and he's on the run, and he has to pretend to be like a Boy Scout.
Dead?
No, he's alive. I think he's alive.
He's like not been in anything forever.
His time passed. He was in a lot of movies as a comedy actor for the most part. City Slickers, Home Alone.
Oh yeah,
Bushwhacked.
City Slickers for sure. Yeah.
A few other stuff, and he had in the 80s. I think he had some serious roles and stuff too. But
that would be weird seeing him show up and like be super serious. That would be kind of hard to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he just got typecast as a comedic actor, and he milked that while he could, and then moved on. But he's the lead in Bushwhacked. Again, it's another comedy. He's a criminal, has to manage a troop of Boy Scouts to try to run from the cops, and also some other criminals that want to kill him. So one of the killers is a guy named. Plot. Oh, it's nonsense. It's just a silly comedy premise, but. One of the FBI guys is named Agent John Polito, who you'll know as the private detective in Big Lebowski, the one that shows up.
Oh, yeah.
And then
he's in a bunch of Coen brother movies. That guy.
Yeah, he's like a big character in a ton of movies. He's always around. He's rarely like a lead. He's just below Daniel Stern in this, but he was in a movie called, which I had never heard of before this, called The Last Shot, which is a comedy movie from 2004 starring Alec Baldwin and Matthew Broderick. It's got a pretty stacked cast. Toni Collette's in it. Callista Flockhart, who was, I think, probably a much bigger name in 2004 post Ally McBeal. But Ray Liotta's in that with him, and Ray Liotta's I've seen Field Trips. So I always love kind of finding random movies that I never knew existed. I've never heard of this Last Shot movie, but. All right, Eric, it's time to play Guess That Movie. I'm going to give you 5 clues, Eric.
Oh, I like the little intro.
Hello, ladies. I'm going to give Eric 5 clues. He's got to guess that movie within 5 clues. He gets 1 guess, and if he fails, he's going to get dumped with a bucket of slime, and we're going to call him a loser. So, all right, Eric, clue number 1, always the same one, 1981. This year this movie came out, 1981.
Okay.
All right. Assume that didn't do anything for you.
Before I was alive.
Just barely. But hey, your older brother was around. He knew, You might have seen this movie. So clue number 2. Part of this movie is narrated by Orson Welles. Narrated by Orson Welles. Does that help?
Is this the Transformers movie?
No. No, it is not Transformers.
No, he does a voice in that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And it is not Transformers. I'm glad that you knew that. It's one of his last roles.
Oh, I watched the shit out of that movie.
Oh, I love that movie as a kid. I've not seen it since probably 1987, but yes, or 88 or something, in the late 80s. So it's been a very long time. I also watched the crap out of that movie. But no, it's not that movie. Not gonna redo that one. So okay, Orson Welles narrates. What do I want to do for clue number 3? I think I'm gonna get to that anecdote here. Here it is. All right. So this was a scene that was removed from the final cut of the film. It referred to the 3 Mile Island accident, and in it I had a father and a mother made up to look like half a dog and half a cat as a result of a nuclear meltdown, but the audience was seriously chilled and didn't laugh, so I left it out. That was the director of this movie speaking about a scene that didn't make the final cut of this movie. Does that help you at all?
Because it referenced the 3 Mile Island accident?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Huh. Doesn't help me, no.
Okay. Clue number 4. I'm going to try to get a little hotter here. A sequel to this movie came out in 2023 as a television series. It's a sequel, but it's not a movie sequel. It's a
in this
series.
2023, this year?
Correct.
A TV series which is a sequel to the movie.
Yeah, and the title of the series is an obvious thing. It's not even ambiguous. I mean, if I said the title of the series, it would make it very obvious what the first movie is.
Can you give me what, like, is it on Netflix? What streaming service? Would that be too much of a
No, that's
hint?
fine. I've got to look, but I'm not sure. Let's see here. Hulu. It's on Hulu. If that helps.
Fatal Attraction?
Nope.
Oh. Okay.
Nope, not Fatal Attraction. That's like late 80s. All right, so this is, I mean, without actually saying, it's probably about as. Do you want the name of the director? Would that be?
If it's somebody I may
You'll
know.
have heard of the director. It's Mel Brooks is the director.
Oh, A History of the World?
Part 1. Yep.
Yeah. I actually watched most of the show on Hulu.
Okay.
I think I've seen the movie. It's been a very long time, but
I have never seen it. I mean, I've seen a good chunk of Mel Brooks, but this is one of the blind spots. I thought about High Anxiety, but I decided I'd rather watch this one. So we're going to revisit History of the World Part 1. I'll be curious. It's comedy. You mentioned missing boner comedies a while ago when we talked about Mallrats. I kind of miss the out-and-out absurdist comedy. We don't get a ton of those either, just wall-to-wall insanity.
It's like a parody of history is what it is.
Basically, yeah. And I decided, that over. I wouldn't mind a Hitchcock parody, but I was like, let's not do high. Let's do History of the World Part 1. So, all right. I hope you don't hate it, Eric. I'm not doing it to torture you. I don't know what your do you like Mel Brooks generally, or does the stuff not work for you?
I like Spaceballs a lot. Young Frankenstein, I've seen it. I didn't connect with it, but I think I probably need to rewatch it. And that was like a college movie that college friends really liked, and I was like, I don't know if I'm connecting with this when I was 20 years old or whatever.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm a big Gene Wilder fan, and just the Frankenstein.
That's Mel Brooks, right? Young Frankenstein.
Oh yeah. That's one of his.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, History of the World Part 1 is probably nobody's favorite Mel Brooks movie. It's probably not even in his top 5 or whatever. But I haven't seen it. I want to watch it. This is an excuse to watch it. I hope it's not torturous for you, Eric.
No, I quite liked the History of the World Part 2, the Hulu show. I mean, it's like half-hour just little skits about history that are sometimes funny, sometimes they aren't that funny.
I think that's probably what this is going to be like. We're going to get chunks of history, and some bits will laugh, and some will be like,
yeah. They aren't all winners, but at least giggle a few times is good enough for me.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, we're going to talk about History of the World Part 1 next week. On the Pot of Dreams, everybody.
Is it streaming anywhere as of this
no,
recording?
you gotta pay for it. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Just curious.
Sometimes
for
I
the
start with
listeners,
like
if they want to follow along, you know.
Yeah, no, that's probably good. Sometimes I start with like what's available to stream and is there something I want to watch. And sometimes I'm like, I just want to watch this and I'm willing to show up.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was just curious.
All right.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody.